Hey, fellow golfers, this is Robby from Best Ball. One of the most popular names in the golf accessory market today is Western Birch. Stop reaching in your pocket for boring plastic or plain white golf tees and elevate your game with premium wooden golf tees from Western Birch. You can customize both the hardwood and bamboo tees with one of their signature stripe patterns in a wide variety of colors. These tees are stylish enough to stand apart from the crowd, traditional enough to align with golf's heritage, and durable enough to make you forget about using anything else. Enter the code BESTBALL in the promo field in your shipping cart to add a free gift to your order. So visit westernbirch.com and get your own premium wood golf tees in the style that suits your game.
I love golf and I love business. So I'm like, let's just marry the two together. There's a lot of great writers and companies that really do a great job of talking about this, but no one's really niching down and talking about golf specifically. So I said I'd give it a shot and see what I learned, and was hoping to get 100, 100 people to read it. And it's been so much fun to research and build, and I'm continuing to write it. The writing part isn't as much fun as the research, but um, it's been a lot of fun. I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I enjoy it, and been doing it for about 2.5 years now. And it's still relatively small in the grand scheme of things. It's 8,500 subscribers, and that's pretty small still. So there's, I think, a lot of runway for it to continue to grow.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another special edition of the Whole Story Podcast. Robby and Jonathan here, and we are joined by a very special guest to talk some business and golf, Jared Doerfler. Let me give a quick bio, Jared, from another guest, Jonathan, another guest from the state of Iowa. Jared played golf at the University of Northern Iowa. His hat is representing that. And now he's talking about golf and money and the business side of things, which, if you're paying any attention in the professional golf world, there's a little bit of that going on.
Wow.
So, Jared, we wanted to welcome you to the Whole Story Podcast.
Right on, guys. Ready to chop it up today and have a little fun.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we always like to ask, like, where did this golf journey start? Because you're in the Midwest, it's snowing and cold for like 8, 9 months out of the year, it feels like in Iowa, and yet somehow you find golf.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. First, golf in Iowa is really popular.
Yeah.
It's one of the top states in the country with golf courses per capita. Maybe that's because we only have about 3 million people, but there's a significant amount of 9-hole golf courses in rural Iowa. So golf's really popular. Got into the game like a lot of people. My dad got me into the game, and 'cause his parents got him into the game when he was a kid as well. So obviously a very paternal sport, and I was fortunate to grow up playing with my dad and grandfather quite often.
Well, we were joking about it before. You said you weren't good enough to play at some schools, but you did play college golf, which that means you're pretty good. So, tell us about that experience playing for Northern Iowa.
Yeah, I owe a lot to the University of Northern Iowa, to Coach Bermel and to Coach Beastie. Kind of changed my life. I will say that it put my life on a different trajectory. Northern Iowa is this small school in Cedar Falls, Iowa, small Division I school. At the time, there was maybe 11, 12,000 students. Have one scholarship for the team, and so most guys are not on scholarship at Northern Iowa. And what the coaching staff did is they recruited a lot of D2, D3 guys that were multi-sport athletes in high school, and were gritty. We're willing to outwork everybody. Didn't have the most talent in the world, but certainly we worked hard. And so I got lucky. Coach Bermel, allowed me to essentially be a preferred walk-on. I didn't have a roster spot even, but I competed well enough. And golf's this great meritocracy where if you play well enough, you'll get a shot. And so I got hot at the right time my sophomore year, and played well enough to qualify for our second tournament and never really looked back. I would say it's extremely difficult to qualify on any college golf team. Doesn't matter what division it is, for the top five, and it's harder to get out of that top five, because you're always going to have a look to get back in, whether that's a 3-for-2 spot for the next tournament or a 2-for-1. So very fortunate. Really taught me a lot of great life lessons, and being surrounded by guys that were a lot smarter than me was certainly helpful. And my best friends today are all my former teammates at Northern Iowa, and I owe that was honestly the best thing that ever happened to me in my life was being able to earn a spot and play golf at that level.
I tell kids all the time, if you get a chance to go play any sport in college, just go do it. Doesn't matter where. Robby's son, he's good at golf, but he's faster on a track, so he's getting an opportunity to play. I play a little baseball at like a D3 school, but like you said, your best friends are the folks that you spent that kind of time with. So I do have a question. If you were doing golf now and you were in college, what's your NIL deal look like, since you're like this business savvy golf guy?
If I was a player, what would my
Yeah.
NIL? A peanut butter sandwich. I wasn't very good. I mean, look, I think my stroke average, my scoring average was at its best, like 76. And I didn't even have a top 10 finish in college. I had two 11th place finishes. I knew pretty quickly that that's about the highest level I could play. It's wildly competitive at the Division I level, and yeah, I was lucky to find a team and be able to play and compete, and be a very mediocre golfer.
Well, you've definitely taken that love of golf and shifted it to the business side. And one of the tweets where you're trying to broker a deal, we have to start with this one. Back on December 21st, you made a tweet. You were trying to broker and find some brother-in-laws. You were looking for dates for your sisters. First, it's good to know that you're still around. We're glad you survived Christmas with the family. But how did that end? How did that come about?
It's a great question. Okay, so I was driving and I thought of this idea, and I just tweeted it when I was got to my destination, which was Cedar Falls, Iowa, which is God's country. Yeah, I don't know. I have two sisters. They're great girls, women, I should say. They're very pretty. They got a lot going on in their life, and yet they're just, my 32-year-old sister is way too focused on her career. This seems to define somebody, and my 30-year-old sister is maybe got a little bit of a wild side to her. So I was like, why not let this rip and see what happens? My sisters are very we're pretty close. My sisters are very they find a lot of humor and stuff, so it was great. The 32-year-old, she's like, you don't need to tweet about, what comes of this, and you don't need to talk to, people about my personal life now. But I will say this is that, I won't make any updates, on the Twitter because of her request, but, it has been successful for each of them. So, which is, if something comes of it, where they end up, getting engaged or married, then that will warrant a tweet. But I didn't know that would actually blow up like that. And so, it was fun. My mom thought it was hilarious. My dad's a very serious guy, and he didn't find it so funny. But it is what it is. My wife was totally on board. It was a fun time.
1,300 Google applications. Like, that's a lot to sort through. You get some options out of that, right?
I had to shut it down. Like I told them, like 7 a.m. I looked. I'm like, there's like 1,310 applications. I'm like, do you guys want me to shut it down? And my younger sister is like, yeah, shut it down. And the 32-year-old's like, no, let it keep running for a little bit. And I'm like, I'm shutting it down. Like I'm killing this thing. It's already run its course. Like it doesn't need to get, it's crazy. So yeah, we definitely shut it down.
I've been married for 24 years now, and the only thing I noticed in the entire bio is that you want to talk about EBITDA. I was like, that actually sounds like a good time. Like,
I do. Look, my 32-year-old sister, her and I will stay up. Like when we go on like family vacations, we'll stay up, and she'll teach me she can value a company in her sleep, and she'll teach me different tactics and what she's seen out in the field. And it's always an interesting conversation and debate.
Well, maybe you end up getting some golfing brother-in-laws out of the deal. So, but yeah, shifting to the actual business side of golf and what you write about and talk about, how did that come about? Where did you first start doing that?
Yeah. So like I've always had to tinker with something in my life. Like even when I've, got a job, like I'm always tinkering. I got to keep my brain moving. It doesn't stop, which is part of sort of a problem, which my 4-year-old daughter shares with me, and it's overwhelming. So my wife, she's a saint, to put up with both of us. But I was finishing my MBA and I had an elective to burn, so I took entrepreneurship and innovation, and the instructor was a huge proponent of writing online. And I honestly thought this was a terrible idea because like I don't see myself as a good writer, and I'm not a journalist or a media person. But he said a couple of things that I thought were interesting, so I'm like, I'll take him up on it. I love golf and I love business, so I'm like, let's just marry the two together. There's a lot of great writers and companies that really do a great job of talking about this, but no one's really niching down and talking about golf specifically. So I said I'd give it a shot and see what I learned, and was hoping to get 100 people to read it. And it's been so much fun to research and build, and I'm continuing to write it. The writing part isn't as much fun as the research, but it's been a lot of fun. I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I enjoy it, and been doing it for about 2.5 years now. And it's still relatively small in the grand scheme of things. It's 8,500 subscribers, and that's pretty small still. So there's, I think, a lot of runway for it to continue to grow.
For your average weekend warrior, why do you think it's important to at least acknowledge or pay attention to that side of the business, that side of golf?
I mean, that's a good question. So, the weekend warrior may not like it. Like, it may not be specifically for them, or they may like it because I'm talking about different things that not a lot of people are talking about. Golf media and golf newsletters generally are, I would say, at this point, starting to become oversaturated. There's a lot of great ones out there. A lot of them are talking about the same thing. And so if you like content, you like reading, then you're going to get something different with Perfect Putt. I'm generally not going to cover what you're going to see that week, with maybe like players or a tournament recap or gambling or betting. So I try to dive a little bit deeper into some of the stories of golf.
Yeah, well, you do a great job. And I guess speaking of the entrepreneur side of things, you've got a buddy and a former teammate, Tyler Johnson, who started the Charlie Golf Co. And I know you're a big fan of his and what he's doing. From a business perspective and a friend perspective, what do you think about all that?
Yeah, I'll give you some context. Like, Tyler's my best friend in the world, so I'm either going to give him like really good advice or really bad advice. Meaning that the bad is I'm not gonna, maybe I'm a little biased. I really love what Tyler's doing. We have coffee every Friday morning, and we live in the same town, which is pretty unusual, being that he's not from here, and I am from the town we live in, and it's a small town. So it's cool that we're able to see each other like almost every other day, and we chat quite often. And what he's got going on, I think, is really unique, and I think a lot of people can learn from. There's a lot of room in the golf industry, strategies and tactics, and he's kind of nailing all of them, right? Like, so he's doing toddler golf bags, right? And which may not have like a huge TAM, which total addressable market, but no one's doing it. And so I think a good learning point is you don't have to start, a business that you think is a $50 million or $100 million business. There's a lot of great businesses out there that do $2, $3, $4 million, and they're able to make good money every year and create small wealth for their family. I think the golf bag business that he's working on, I think, is just that, and I'm really proud of him. He gets so anxious with social media and storytelling, and he's not a huge social media guy, but when he started telling the story, authenticity matters right now, and it couldn't be happening to a better guy. He's an incredible human being. Like, to put up with me, he's a great dude, and his parents and his family are awesome. Like, his two sisters are way better than him. Like, they stole all the good looks in their family too. And his parents are great people. So I couldn't be happening to a better guy with his success, and I'm hoping that he can keep this thing rolling and turn it into something that is pretty big.
Yeah, we were excited to get him on the podcast before everything exploded. I don't know if we'd be able to get him on now. He's pretty big time.
Oh, no, you can get him.
Well, like you said, you don't have to be $100 million Nike or fill in the blank. creating something that you really have passion about, that you are going to enjoy. And, that's like you said, it's a niche that who knows where it turns into, right?
Yeah, 100%.
We'll talk about the EBITDA on that later, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what lessons or strategies that you've seen him take would apply? Because people are trying to start golf businesses all the time. What have you seen that he's done well that might translate to the next person?
Yeah. And look, again, so take this with a grain of salt. I don't have all the answers, and I'm just giving you my perspective. Audience building, I think, is the number one thing that you can do for a business. In my experience with building a small audience, it is really important to leverage. And so from his standpoint, is owning the distribution and the audience was crucial to get him going with no paid marketing and no paid advertising. And so what he did is he built a wait list before he got his bags. And if you're going to start a company and you don't have an audience and you don't have distribution or relationships like he didn't, building a wait list, I think, is the number one thing that you should be doing. And you should be doing that by effectively storytelling. And don't be afraid, how bad he's taking photos in his garage, and it doesn't look like worldwide headquarters that maybe like at some of the other big companies, but it doesn't have to. It's better that it doesn't. And so that's the number one piece of advice I get. If you're going to start a business in the golf space or in any space, you don't have an audience to leverage, I would highly recommend building a list and try to build that list without paid signups, because the more organic it's going to be, the better off your conversion rate will end up being.
Yeah, I think a couple of things that we've seen that he's done really well. One is, you mentioned, be authentic, right? And then take the storytelling piece. It's a toddler golf bag, but when he talks about his dad cutting down clubs and finding a way to carry the stuff, and then him with his own kids and figuring out, man, there's got to be a way to do this better, and having the stories behind that, people grab onto it, and it seems to make an easy sell at that point.
Right, exactly. And he's done an excellent job at that. And I think it's important to note that that's not natural for him. And so, again, if you're really kind of on the fence about getting on social or whatever it may be, I think I would highly recommend it. He's just scratching the surface, really, of kind of where he's at, because not natural for him. He's doing something that makes him uncomfortable, but it's helping, grow his brand, which is obviously really important.
Yeah, getting uncomfortable is not a bad place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you did escape a little bit of winter, it sounds like. You were just down in Florida at the PGA show. So what was that like?
The PGA show was I thought really good. And I look at it maybe through a little bit different lens than a lot of people. But in my conversations with CEOs and leaders of companies, they were all very bullish on what it's going to look like in 24. 24. Now, 23 was a good year for golf. Like, Golf Data Tech just came out with their numbers for rounds in December, and NGF's report is essentially sort of out. You have to be a subscriber to read the whole thing, but that information will trickle out here shortly. And, is what I read was 1 million net new golfers in 23. So I saw two main takeaways really from the show. Golf simulators, that's only going to get bigger, and we're only going to see more golf leagues coming our way that are indoor, whether that's amateur or whether that's professional. I think that's going to take off. It kind of already is. And then women's apparel, there's a huge opportunity for women's apparel, and whoever wants to jump into that and be successful will make a lot of money. There's a lot of companies doing it, but they're not really doing anything different, and they're all kind of doing the same thing. And so whoever wants to niche down in that, I think will win. And I will say, and I'm hoping that this is the case, but my 30-year-old sister I call her a world-class fashion designer, and she gets offended by that. She's like, I'm not that good. No, she's very good. I mean, she's in the fashion industry, and she's, over the last 2 months, she's mocked up some stuff and made some samples of some really cool female golf stuff. And my sister was a good golfer in high school, and she kind of knows the game, and we'll see if she ends up doing anything with that. But I think women's apparel has a really, really unique opportunity, especially if you look at 800,000 new women have joined the game since, I believe, 2019 net. And it's one of the highest the highest growing cohorts in golf. Yet there's not really that one company that solved it yet. So whoever does that is going to make a lot of money.
What do you think is the problem to be solved?
I'm probably a bad one to really speak on it. But like if I talk to my wife, right, like the pants don't fit right, the shirts don't fit right. She doesn't like the prints, doesn't like all the pink. Um, the collars are weird. Their pockets in the pants and the skirts don't really fit. Just like things like that. Like I think the question we should be asking ourselves is: does women's golf apparel have to be golf apparel? And what I mean by that is, um, maybe like I don't really care what people wear on the golf course, but like maybe yoga pants is not the answer. But does it have to look like? Does it have to be golf apparel?
Yeah.
And I think that's the box that everyone's been living in, and so that's what they've been innovating and designing.
It even feels like in the men's, I mean, I can remember 5 years ago, no one wore a hoodie on a
Mm-hmm.
golf course, right? And now you've got pros out there that have branded golf apparel specifically designed with a hood. And like you'd be kicked out of country clubs if you showed up like that. So maybe you're right. Like maybe it doesn't have to follow the same style. They don't have to match the other folks in the foursome, the guys with the polos and things like that, to still make it a natural feel and nice, comfortable to play in.
Right. And apparel in golf is not a one size fit all. Like you can go to a country club today and they won't let you wear a hoodie. Like it just, and if that's their rule, that's their rule.
Yeah.
That's fine. But it's not a one size fit all. And I think, you have to understand who your demo is going to be. And there's a lot of room in the space. Now, the men's side is probably a little oversaturated in my opinion. But there's still some really good companies that are growing rapidly and doing a lot of cool things.
Well,
Yeah,
you talk about the,
go ahead, Jonathan.
I was going to say, you talk about the expansion in golf, and one of the things you highlighted in one of your recent articles was the par 3 courses. So it actually, I'm going to Arizona to visit some family this week, and I was like, I should look up and see if there's a par 3 course. There's one in Tempe that's lighted. I think it was one that you highlighted even. It's like, so talk about where do you think golf can go to bring in more people?
Yeah, Jonathan, I'm not sure if did you try to get a tee time at grass?
It's pretty full. First of all,
yeah.
But there are some night times like for singles. I didn't know if my brother-in-law wants to go or not, so I'm still considering it. I'm really thinking about it. But you're right. Like Sunday night, Friday, Saturday night, there was maybe 1 or 2 tee times for the evening slots.
Just get out there. Just go book it when we get off this. I mean, you can always cancel, but I mean, like you won't. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Now, look. Golf has this really unique thing where there's more golf participants in off course right now than on course, and it's only going to keep growing that way, and the gap's going to keep widening. So then, how does golf, like, how do we convert like the top golf to the green grass? And I think the par 3 and then lighted par 3 is a huge bridge for people in that area. First of all, it's more entertainment, but there is sprinkles of real golf. I'm very bullish on the par 3 game, and it's kind of funny because they've been around for a long time, but I don't know. I just think there's a unique twist to them again. The lights, the F&B, the concerts, all the things that can be leveraged from a lighted par 3 and community and leagues, and I think it's a huge opportunity. And from just talking with industry folks and other leaders that. There will be more that get released this year. I'm excited to see those announcements so we can actually kind of dive into those a little bit more. And I think there'll be some commercialization to them, which I think is probably, Pop Stroke gets a massive valuation, about a year ago. This could be, just as huge in my personal opinion. I think there's a ton of room the lighted par 3 golf market. I'm very bullish on it.
Well, it'd be a lot of fun. Jonathan and I keep saying we're going to open a par 3 and we're going to light it up and do all the things. So hopefully nobody beats us to it in the areas we want to do it. So
you should. I mean, you should. I think the unique strategy here is what Grass Clippings did, which was they worked with it's a muni. So the city of Tempe, and they did a land lease. And so it's a guaranteed income for the muni, right? And then it's kind of their canvas. They can do with what they want with it. So finding maybe, and I'm not saying this about Rolling Hills, which was at Muni and Tempe, but finding possibly a distressed Muni and kind of making your canvas is a win-win for all parties. And I think we're probably going to see some of that model come up with these par threes where they can throw up some different tee boxes, maybe shape some greens, throw up some lights, and it's a win-win for all parties.
Well, you talked about the simulator business. We're friends with Kyle Walton and the Gimme Golf Club folks. I don't know if you've paid attention to them, but I sent Jonathan a link the other day and showed him that they have a match play going on there in St. Louis, and obviously you can't get out too much there, but they're doing match play and playing simulator golf, streaming it on YouTube, and the numbers of people that were logging on to watch it of their membership was growing. It was pretty neat to see. So yeah, I think the simulator and, like you said, just ways of broadcasting that, whether they ever figure out the TGL stuff or other avenues down that path, it'll be fun to see.
Look, there are people smarter than me making bets on this space, right? Like Unicore, they bought even roll putters because, and Unicore is a Korean based sim company, and they made this bet on TGL of the acquisition. That was one of the things they highlighted, and so I think that was super. They're smarter than me on that, and they can look at the numbers and run their models, and that's super interesting to me. And one of my former teammates at Northern Iowa just won a next golf tour event, which is a virtual league, and I mean it's a cool story. He's 38. He quit in 2012, and he runs an auction company, and so he's able to play in the simulator league. Where they give you a 10-day window and it's one round. And he won 30 grand for it. So, and he's a damn good golfer. I mean, it's a shame that he had to quit, but like so many people, you run out of money. Anyway, what I'm saying is that they're using the sim technology. They're powered by TrackMan, and the scale there is unique. They could get 5,000 players playing at once, and it can be a profitable business if it grows to that point.
Well, it's exciting to see, and it'll be fun to see where the golf landscape continues to grow, because there's plenty of opportunities. But I guess getting back to the actual playing golf, we ask everybody that joins us. We want to hear great golf stories. That's what we're all about. We're not breaking the latest news or anything like that, but we love good golf stories and learning about people in the golf space. So, tell us, what is your most memorable golf shot?
That's a great question. I'll say this because I know this shot. It was a 5-iron feathery cut from 225. Okay, so sophomore year at college, qualifying while the guys are playing at Air Force Academy, and so we had an opportunity to qualify Monday, Tuesday for the next event, which was at Kansas. And I don't know what I shot first round, but maybe like 68, 69. And I came out the next day, and we played a different course, and I was hitting the ball well. And I remember I just, the par 5, I hit this little feathery cut to like 3 feet, made eagle, and I shot 67. And I walked in. So I played well those first 2 days of qualifying, and I walked in and gave coach a scorecard. Well, he was actually at Air Force, but gave the assistant coach a scorecard. And the next day, coach called me and said, "You're in for Kansas. Let's rock and roll. Call your dad," which was a really cool moment for me. So that shot, I still remember. I don't have any hole-in-ones. So, I mean, I've won, golf tournaments before, but nothing as significant as, Division I event. So that was one of my better moments in golf. There's no question about it.
That's a cool story. And something you'll remember forever. I love the coach saying, "Call your dad." That makes it special.
I mean, he knew my parents supported me so much in college, and I was paying my own way, and they supported me. They came to a lot of tournaments, and so my dad was more excited than I was to go to Kansas. My running joke in my family is my dad had golf stat up on his computer more than I did. Like if you go to his office at work, he'd have golf stat was in his favorite. So when he wasn't able to make it, he was following live, and he was always looking at the stats, and he would drill me with a lot of different things. Well, why did you 3-putt? I didn't try. Why did you hit that out of bounds? Well, I didn't try. But no, that was an awesome moment. My grandfather was able to make it that tournament too, and what an experience, man. College golf does some cool things for you.
I talked to or I messaged Tyler and to let him know we were having you on, and I asked if he had any funny stories. He said maybe something about a really windy day at Prairie Dunes or something.
Oh, geez. He told you that? Nice. When was that? My junior year, we had Missouri Valley Conference Championship was at Prairie Dunes. And then this is like mid to late April. And it was a north wind. I'm gonna be honest with you, we didn't even warm up because there were snow flurries. I don't know, like the people in the golf world will not remember Dustin Garza, but he played at Wichita State and he was really freaking good. Like no one warmed up. Wichita State was, in their two Escalades warming up. They're sitting in there getting warm, and we're in a, rented 15 passenger Ford van. Um, we go out and I shot 83 in the first round. It's a par 70. And assistant coach comes and walks with me from 9 to 10 because I teed up on 10 for my second round. And I'm like, dude, we have to be getting smoked. I said, like, I just shot 13 over. Like, it's a grind out here. Wind was probably gusting to 40, and it was like 38, 39 degrees. And he goes, no, we're not. We're in third right now, and we're hanging in there. And I was legitimately shocked by that. We shot a million over, and we were in third. And so I ended up starting the next round with like a 7 on a par 3, 10 at Prairie Dunes is this par 3. I hit it in a yucca bush, and I ended up shooting 94. And that was a bad day. That was a bad day for me. Now, I think our team shot, we had 5 guys, right? I think one guy shot 76, 83, 87, 89. I just want, I didn't even get last place in the tournament. I think I still beat like a handful of guys. It was the hardest day of golf of my life. My dad still talks about it. Like my dad sees my old teammates' parents. The course setup, I'm not going to say it was unfair, but it was borderline unfair. Everyone still had to play it. So it's not like, a huge deal, but it was friggin' hard. And I threw up a 94, and man, I was dejected. But man, in Northern Iowa, dude, like we had some great teammates and great families, and everyone's parents, and I'm still close with today. They picked me up a little bit off that, but I must have been later that summer, maybe at the Iowa Am. I ran into the Iowa State guys who, we were friendly with the Iowa State team and the Drake team, I'd say. Iowa, we didn't see much, so we weren't like super friendly with them. Not that we didn't like them, but I ran into the Iowa State guys and was like, yeah, how about that 94, Jared? And I said, how about that, boys? And come to find out, they were coming home from Houston. I'm pretty sure it was Houston, and they drove down there, which is crazy. And they're like, yeah, we're in the team van driving home, and we had you on 100 watch on the TV. And I was like, thanks, boys. Thanks. So that was tough. But you know what? I had my best season. I had the best fall ever coming back after that. I damn near won the Waterloo Open that summer. I just had to – I took like 3-4 weeks off and had to refocus. That 94 is a confidence killer. I actually went and played from the up tees like for a week straight to get my confidence back after that. And I had to. It was shooting 94 was something, and I'm not good enough to come back off that. Like, I don't know, you guys won't remember this, but when I was a senior or junior or senior, I think Bud Cauley, who played at Alabama, incredible golfer. I think he may have shot like 89 or 90 at the SEC championship. Round 2, he comes back with like a 65. Like if I were to come back with like something, I'm just not mentally tough enough or talented enough to do that. But that really kind of shows you like the level of confidence that players like that have. Anyone can shoot a bad number, but how do you follow that up? And I followed it up with an 80 the next day. So it wasn't like it was a great number, but that course was hard. I still get the shakes going into Hutchinson, Kansas. I'm not kidding. Like I want to play it again because I think it needs, like, I don't like it. I generally don't like the course. I don't have any good memories there. So I've heard nothing but good things about it, and people love it. So I want to play it again and kind of get revenge on it and just play it maybe when it's a little bit different conditions.
I was going to say, like a warm August, light breeze day. If you can avoid some tornadoes, I think you should try it again.
I'm not sure that like Hutch, I'm not sure that doesn't blow there. I used to go there for work like once a week. and it's always windy there.
Always windy.
I would drive in occasionally just into Prairie Dunes just to scope it out, and I just get the shakes just driving in there. I just drive right back out. So, but yeah, what a day! 94. There was a handful of guys that shot over 90. So,
Jonathan, what would you have shot that day?
Oh, I was thinking like 94 is a good day, isn't it? So, I mean, if you're putting me in 40-mile-an-hour winds at 38 degrees, so I lose some distance, like 125, 130.
it was a north wind too, which that course is set up for a south wind, from my understanding. So it was just brutal. It was a true test of mental fortitude, which at that point I did not have.
Cold Midwestern day.
Yeah.
Well,
Today's podcast is sponsored by Atomic Golf. If you need custom ball markers, divot repair tools, and more that are made from high-quality materials like solid copper and brass and look really good, then you should check out our friends at Atomic Golf. If courses like Old Barnwell, Landman, Sweetens Cove, and more are already working with them, then you should too. Visit atomicgolf.club and use the promo code BESTBALL to receive 5% off your order. And be sure to follow them on Instagram at Atomic Golf.
Well, we always like to do what we call the quick nine with our guests. So it's just sort of rapid fire. You can be as eloquentious as you'd like, or you can be short-winded. First question, what is the favorite course that you've played? I'm pretty sure we know which one is not your favorite course. So maybe you've got a good one.
Recency bias, but the Dunes course at Prairie Club in Nebraska is absolutely fantastic. What a masterpiece. What a design. I'm so impressed with Prairie Club in Nebraska.
Okay.
Sounds good. That's on our list. So speaking of bucket list, what course is at the top of the bucket list?
Crystal Downs in northern Michigan.
Why there?
My grandma's been going there since 1935, and we drive past it every summer when we're there, and it's just one of those things where I want to play there. Like it's just a very I don't know, I guess the right word for it, but nostalgic. I want to play.
Just book that tee time.
Yeah.
Who would be in your dream foursome?
My old man, probably my grandfather, and probably Tiger.
Good choices. All right. So on the business side of things, or maybe it's just a preference, if you could be sponsored by any brand out there, doesn't have to be a golf brand, but any brand, who would it be?
I'm going to go golf brand, but right now, Holderness and Bourne.
That'd be a good one. Shirts for days.
They're dialed in. What an impressive group.
They're crushing it.
Yep.
Yeah. What should golf clubs do to increase their profitability? What's the number one thing you think they should do?
Boy, that's a great question. We could talk about this for about an hour. See, it's a loaded question. If you want to increase your margins, you can go direct to consumer, but then you're going to pay more to acquire that customer in theory. So, probably direct to consumer.
All right.
I'll disclaimer, Jonathan added this question in here. Which sister gets married first?
Oh, the 30-year-old.
So quick.
Not
on
close.
that one.
Not close.
Easy answer. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm a big food fan. What is your favorite snack on the course?
A high noon.
That's a good snack.
Yeah.
Boy, I love a good hot dog on the turn, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's hard to beat.
Very popular answer. All right. So we're big fans of golf logos, golf course logos especially. Do you have a favorite golf course logo?
Boy, another good question. Not really. I haven't thought about that before. I'm not a huge logo guy. Like, who's got a cool logo? I mean, Seminole's probably got one of the cooler logos out there, I'd say. But I don't want to wear a Seminole logo if I haven't played there. Like, I don't know. I have that weird feeling like I'm not going to wear the logo unless I've played there.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Won't buy anything, won't buy a hat, buy anything else unless I can play it.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, why should people subscribe to The Perfect Putt?
Yeah, I mean, if you like business and you like golf and you want to be like a little bit more educated, I guess, on what's going on in the industry from all different facets, then subscribe. It's free. It's like 5 minutes to read. There's 8,500 people that read it. It's got pretty low churn rate, so a lot of people come back and read it again. Metrics are good. Like, it's got about a 60% plus open rate every Monday, so people enjoy reading it. And come check it out.
Well, I am one of the 8,500 or whatever that do read it, and highly recommend. Jared, thank you for joining us on the Whole Story podcast.
Appreciate it, Robby. Thanks, Jonathan.
Yeah, so for everybody out there, highly recommend you guys go subscribe to the Perfect Putt newsletter. Check out Jared on social media. We'll put links to all this stuff, how you can subscribe in the show notes, but definitely check it out. Interesting articles, highly recommend. And like he said, easy to read, very informative, and it might just help you make some smart business decisions out on the golf course or in the golf business. So for Jonathan and Jared, this is Robby. We appreciate you guys listening to the Whole Story podcast.